All right, welcome back to the whichermath channel. Today we're going to talk briefly and teach you a method of converting mixed numbers to improper fractions and converting improper fractions back to a mixed number. Depending on the situation, you might need to use one or the other format. So first, let's make a little definition here. Define a mixed number. We're going to say we have a whole number over here and a numerator and a denominator. For an improper fraction, we have a numerator that is improper, means the numerator is greater than the denominator over the denominator. Let me use an example to show you what I mean. Okay, let's start with something we can all agree upon. Here is a picture. Here's a whole number, one square, and then here's 1/2 of another square. So this picture represents the mixed number of 1 and 1/2. If I take the exact same picture and have all my pieces broken in half, we can see that I have 1, 2, 3 halves. So the picture and our very, very simple example shows you that it's a conversion. We're not changing what the thing is. We are just changing what we call it and how we think about it. Let's start with a simple example of, let's have a mixed number of 2 3/4. Now if I want to change to improper fraction, here's what I do. I take the denominator times the whole number, and then I add the numerator, and I put that answer on top of the denominator, which means I'm going to take the 4 times the 2 and add the 3. And you can picture that going around a clock like that. We're going to multiply down here, add up here, and we're going to keep the 4 on the bottom. So 4 times 2 is 8, and then we add 3 and we get 11, and we keep the 4. There, we converted 2 3/4 to 11/4. Let's do one more example of converting from a mixed number to an improper fraction, okay? And then we'll practice going the other way. How about 3 5/8? This one's a little more complicated, but we're going to use the same little formula. We're going to go around the clock, multiply down here, add up here. So we take the denominator, which is 8, times the whole number, add the numerator. What is it this time? 5, right? And we keep the denominator. Just like we did up here, we had 1 1/2. The denominator was the 2, which is how many pieces we're splitting everything into. And when we changed it to 3/2, everything was still in halves, which allows us to have the same denominator in both the mixed number and the improper fraction version. So we keep the 8 down here. And now I have 29. 8 times 3 is 24. Add the 5, do them in that order every time. It does make a difference. And we put that over 8. So we converted 3 5/8 to 29/8. And we converted 2 3/4 using our simple formula here to 11/4. Now the question is, how do we go backwards? Well, let's look at our picture that we have up here. Let's take what we already know the answer to and describe how to go backwards. First, when I split both of these in half, it gave me that denominator. So we know that if I start with 13/5, for example, we know when I convert to a mixed number, I'm still going to have a 5 on the bottom over here. So the question is, I need to find out how many whole numbers, how many times 5 fits into 13 without going over. So I'm going to divide 13 by 5. How many 5s fit into 13? 2. 2 will be our whole number, because 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15. So we got to stop at 10, which means 2 is our whole number. And then you might be used to saying something like, if we take our numerator, which is 13, and we subtract our whole number times the denominator, and keep it over the denominator, we're going to end up over here. So here's what we did. We took the 13, we're going to subtract the whole number, which is how many times will that denominator fit into the numerator without going over. In this case it was 2. We're going to multiply that by the denominator of 5. So that makes 13 minus 10, which is 3, which is the numerator. So we just went from 13/5 to 2 3/5. We can check our work by doing this up here, right? 5 times 2 plus 3 equals 13. We keep that denominator. We check our work by going backwards, undoing the process. Here we multiplied and added. Here we divided and subtracted. So that's called inverse operations. And stay tuned for another video that will show you a few practice problems and give you a chance to practice these concepts. So that's all we're working on for today. Let's do some practice. Come back and watch video number 2. Thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you next time on the Whicher Math channel.